What's up, guys? In this video we are going to be talking about the 5 steps that you need to take in order to build your $1 million business that have helped us build our $1 million business.
We hope you guys enjoy, and we hope you guys stick around. We'd love to hear some feedback, get to know you guys and know where you're from and what kind of businesses you have. So
let's get into it.
Alrighty guys, so if you don't know, both me and my wife own small businesses here in the Central Florida area, and we have seen some major success in her business as well as my business. I own Parker Land Services, and I pretty much do everything outside. I do tree trimming, tree removal, land clearing, residential commercial grade work, sod, and we are working our way to be a site development company. JC.
I own and run a wedding and event planning business called Parker Point Events, and I have been in business since 2021. I do any kind of celebration, so weddings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, anniversary parties, graduation parties, all of the milestone events in your life. That is what I do. Owning a business is not the easiest thing in the world, but it's so worth it. Step 1 of building your $1 million business. Just start.
So this is the first and probably one of the hardest steps that you will take in growing your business, and that is just the first step. For some reason, there's this mental block in your head, and as people, we're just scared of the unknown. As humans, we're scared of the unknown, and living in the unknown is not comfortable. And I think that's the biggest thing, is people want to own a business, but they want to be comfortable when they do it. And I think that kind of leads into where I started my business, which was in the most uncomfortable spot that you could probably ever be in. For those of you who don't know our story, I was working at another company that does similar things to what I do now, running their grade work side of their company. Built their company up. I was with this guy for 4 years, and then out of nowhere, 3 weeks before we had Paisley, he decides to let me go. We had just moved out on the property where you guys see we are now building our dream home, and at the time I felt like the world around me was crumbling. I was a single income. JC had just refunded about $10,000 in weddings because obviously she was getting to the last leg of the race for pregnancy.
I was like 9 months pregnant.
And
maybe 8.
Yeah, so I drive 2 hours to the job site. My boss sees me at the job, or at the shop that morning. Doesn't say anything to me. We drive 2 hours, we get to the job site, and he decides to let me go. So a big wake-up call for me. A lot of emotions going through my head, wondering why, asking God what in the world he is doing, because again, I was the sole income. I had sold my truck because I got a company truck. So we were down now to 1 car, living in a single wide mobile home on a property where we were thinking we were just about to start building our home.
And about to have a baby.
And the baby happened, but the home didn't. For those of you who don't know, we've been in this process of building our home for almost 2 years now. And probate was a nightmare. Permitting, once we got through probate, was a little bit of a nightmare. But all in all, everything happens for a reason, and God had it his way. Honestly, now looking back, I wouldn't have it any other way, because starting the business the way that we started it, I think gave me the push that I needed in order to make myself be successful. I think there's 2 camps, right? There's people who are ready to start a business, but they're scared to make the jump. And then there's people who probably are not in what you would consider the comfortable stage of life to start your business. And I was most definitely not in the comfortable stage. And for all that to just come crumbling around us was extremely hard. Hard thing to wrap my head around. As a dad, I felt like a failure. As a husband, I felt like a failure that I now am not providing for my family. So walking through all those emotions, and the emotions of also feeling betrayed from the business, you know, a business that I had given my everything, seemingly no reason. I even asked for a reason, and the reason wasn't good enough, in my opinion, to be let go. But God works everything out for a reason, and looking back now, I look at kind of how it started. And a few months prior to me getting let go, I really, looking back now, hindsight 2020, feel like God was asking me to start my business, but I just didn't listen. I had multiple people from church. You want to put your sunshade up?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't like it.
I had multiple people telling me, like random people I didn't talk to, come up to me and say, hey, when are you going to start your business? Probably 3 or 4 conversations like that. People I did not talk to, again, out of nowhere coming up to me and saying that. So I probably should have taken the signs then, but I didn't. So God had to hit me over the head with a 2x4 to start my own business. So that's where I'm at.
I know Bryce said that he was in the worst possible scenario, but I also was in a horrible situation when I started my business. So ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to make wedding cake, make birthday cakes, make cakes for celebrations in life. That's just what I wanted to do. So I went to college, I went to culinary school, got my degree in baking and pastry, and graduated. And then I got a job at this catering company in the local area and loved it. I loved the work that I was doing. I love making cakes. I love making desserts. I was the head pastry chef. I got to make desserts for all kinds of milestones in people's lives. And then COVID happened.
Womp womp.
So Bryce and I got married March 7th, 2020. We were the last thing that ever happened on the planet. But after that, we get home from our honeymoon. Everything is great. We're married. We're living life. And I get home and I get a call from my boss saying that I'm getting laid off because of COVID. No one's having get-togethers. No one's having gatherings. No one's allowed to be together. So no one needed catering. Mind you, we hadn't paid a single bill, just moved into our house, and now I have no job. So after that, I was like, I had a different outlook than Bryce. Bryce was like, oh my gosh, I have to like make money for our family. I was like, I'm about to get a vacation. Paid vacation. What I thought. They told me it was going to be like 2 weeks and then we would be back open. I just needed to take 2 weeks off. I would be paid for it, blah, 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 blah. It was not 2 weeks. They did not open back for almost a year. During that time, I was like, well, I guess I have to find some way to make money. So I started working at a clothing boutique called Tennessee Jane. I, again, loved it. I loved spending time with the customers that would come in there. It was just a small little boutique. As I was there, I was really starting to miss the wedding and event industry. So I started feeling like maybe I should just start my own business. And then I don't have to have a catering company telling me when I can go to events or not. So my mom was a wedding planner. I loved weddings growing up. I loved events. So I was like, maybe I should just start my own business. So again, not in a good situation. Just got married, just got laid off, never paid a single bill. Not a good situation. But I knew that if I didn't take the first step, it was never gonna happen. So just like Bryce said, just when you think you're comfortable, you have to be ready to take the step.
Uncomfortable situations, I think, make the best out of people. I tell people all the time, I heard this before. When you're an entrepreneur, you wake up every day unemployed and you have to go get a job. It's not easy, it's not safe, it's not fun all the time. So a lot of times it is. There is a lot of perks to being a business owner. However, it takes a lot of work and you have to be willing to put the work in order to be successful. And I tell everybody all the time, taking that first step is the hardest step, but it is the best step you'll ever take. And once you overcome that and you see that this is actually possible, then you can do anything.
You don't grow in comfortability. That's what I always tell myself.
Diamonds are not made without pressure. Step 2 in building your $1 million business. Do your research.
What do we mean by do your research? This means becoming an expert in your industry. So for me, this meant looking up my competitors. This meant looking up prices that they charge, looking up venues in the area that I could go to and market myself. This meant looking at the current trends for wedding and events. All of these things that I loved to look at before, but now this is my job.
Yeah, I know so many people that just jump head first and spend, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 starting a business, and they know absolutely nothing. They have no contacts. They don't know anybody in the industry. For me, I jumped into my business having a little bit of research already because I had previously been kind of immersed in this culture. So that was easier for me. However, I know so many people that start businesses not knowing anything about what they're doing. It was just a fun hobby on the weekend, and they invest thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they don't even have a contract lined up. They're, debating on whether they should do this job or that job. In the beginning, when I first started, I did everything. I was doing landscaping, irrigation, everything. Now I've kind of narrowed it down now, but in the beginning, you really have to know your field. You have to know your numbers. There's a lot of people. We just went to a YouTube creators event. You guys saw our Telia retreat video. That video opened our eyes a ton, not only to our business side, but the YouTube side. And the business side that we took away from it is you can't just open another hamburger shop on a street that has 1,000 hamburger shops already. What are you gonna do to make yourself different and stick out from anybody else? You can't just start a business and be like everybody else and expect to excel quickly. If you're like me, if you're an outdoorsy business doing landscaping, sod, irrigation, machine work, what can I do? How different can I be from everywhere else? And there's a couple aspects to this. In knowing your niche and knowing whatever you're doing and doing your own research, you need to figure out where you can perform the most, where you can perform the best in your business that's going to be beneficial to everyone else. Because, like, we have a friend who started a photography business. I told her that she needed to go out and she needed to be meeting with, you know, different wedding boutiques. She needed to be meeting with jewelry stores, trying to get involved with them to get different couples. She needed to do her research to figure out who her client was. When she figures out who her client was, she can build her business around that client. For me, final grade is a very specific niche that not a lot of people know how to do. There's a lot of people who can run a skid steer, who can move dirt from here to here, but when it comes to grading, you really have to know what you're doing, because drainage and water flow is imperative in order to making sure houses don't flood, your water doesn't get held on your property. So many people I know, and I know this, oh, I know how to run a skid steer, I'm gonna start a skid steer business. They go out and buy an $80,000 skid steer, and then they don't have any jobs lined up, they have no connections. And that's a scary place to be. Doing your research and knowing, for me, I went into places saying, I know everyone around here struggling specifically with final grade, pulling sidewalks, all of that stuff. So I went into these businesses saying, listen, I know this is a weak point in your business. I want to help you make more money. You don't want to go in saying, what can you do for me? You want to go into the business saying, what can I do for you to make you more money? And collateral, I will make more money. You always want to go into it with that aspect. So do your research. Know how much people are charging. You don't want to be overcharging. You don't want to be undercharging either. And if you're one of those businesses that start and you undercut everybody's prices by $500, please do not do that. Be where market value is. And if you're better than market value, put yourself there. But make sure you do your research.
What do we mean by do your research? For me, this meant going to all the different venues in the area, looking at all my competitors, seeing what they charge, seeing what they offer. This also meant looking up any kind of certifications I could get to further my education, to dive deeper into what the industry is, what the industry has to offer. All of these things are things that I had thought about, but I never had to do because I didn't have my own business.
Doing your research is imperative. If you jump into the industry not knowing anything about it, not knowing price, you are set up to fail. Do your research before you take the jump. Obviously, taking the jump, you need to do it. However, do not go in uninformed, because you will set your business up for failure.
Step 3 in building your $1 million business: market yourself. It's 2025. We live in a world where social media is everything. You have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have Facebook, you have X, you have Threads, you have WhatsApp. You have all of these things that are connecting you to 1 billion other people in the world. Use that as an opportunity to grow your business. This is something that I did in the very beginning. I made my logo, I picked my brand colors, I picked black and white. Everything is Parker Point coded, that's black and white, that's what I say. I went on Instagram, I made an Instagram handle that no one had, I made a TikTok handle that no one had, and I just started posting stuff. I posted an intro, I posted who I was. I said exciting things are coming for Parker Point. At that time, no one knew what Parker Point was. But now I have a lot of followers on TikTok. I have followers on Instagram. I've had multiple different TikToks get over 200,000 views, which doesn't seem like a lot, but with only 90 subscribers on YouTube, it seems like a lot.
Marketing yourself is so important, and there is, just like JC was saying, there is so many things nowadays that are free for you to market on, that if you are not marketing yourself on these free social media platforms, you are losing out. You literally have free advertising dollars. Word of mouth is a huge thing. I gotta say, In the beginning, Facebook was a lot of business for me. So my business shifted from a heavy amount of leads and things coming in from Facebook more to word of mouth and previous customers that have done work with me in the past. And so these social media platforms are very important. That's one of the reasons that we have this channel, is this is a outlet for us to share with people who we are and what we do. It's a marketing strategy. You're getting to see who we are as people. You're getting to see our business and all of these different things. And it is very important that you do that. If you are not marketing yourself well, it will show in your books. Again, you have to know your customer. You're wanting to do a lot of younger things. You're probably not going to be posting on Facebook as much. You're going to be posting on a lot of the newer, more high-techy social media apps.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah,
Bryce is not a social media person. I'm his social media manager. So if you ever see a post that looks like it's made by a girl, that's me, not Bryce.
If you ever see a post, it's made by a girl, because I don't really do any of them.
True.
So this is one area where I definitely slack. I'm really bad about posting. I'm really bad about all of those things, mostly because I don't have social media on my phone.
And he doesn't pay me enough to make a post every day for him, so I need a raise for that.
Bruh. So marketing is very important. Know your customer. If your customer is a specific niche, you need to point your marketing towards that specific niche. If you're not doing that, you're losing out.
Also, simple things like making a business card. You can make a business card on Canva for free, go to Staples and get 500 of them printed off for $20. You probably are going to have to shell out a little bit of money in the beginning, but it will be so worth it.
Door-to-door sales are slept on. A lot of my business was just going and cold calling people. Again, being personable is huge in marketing as well. That'll put you further. But specifically like yard signs, business cards, knowing that if you have a younger person, handing them a business card is basically going to mean nothing. If you can get a digital business card where you can, like iPhone has this thing where you can tap another iPhone and it automatically puts your contact, your business information into their phone. That's huge, because I will tell you, I do not really use business cards anymore. If I walk into a business, I will. If I see somebody just right there. Marketing is huge. Giving someone a business card, I saw, was almost no sales for me. However, if I got their phone number and gave them a business card where I can reach out to them, I wasn't waiting for them to reach out to me, my sales went from closing about 20% of the time to about 80% of the time.
Before we move on to step 4, I do want to touch on spending money for marketing. I have never spent a single dollar on any kind of social media ad. You don't have to. It does help sometimes, but you don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars on marketing things. Step 4 in building your $1 million business. Making connections.
So making connections is huge and a very important aspect to your business. Again, this kind of ties in with marketing a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes for some people you may be sitting there going, that doesn't make any sense. I will tell you exactly why. Most people,
if you haven't seen Awala's new water bottles, it's like an Awala's Stanley baby.
Overpriced crap is what it is.
No, it's not. It has a sipper and a straw, and now it has a handle and a lock.
So obviously their marketing worked well.
Yes.
So making connections is so important to your business. She stopped me when we were on the last step because I was kind of blending the two, but these two have to blend. People in the United States, the biggest fear out of people everywhere is talking to other people. If you are afraid to talk to other people and you want to start your own business, I'm going to tell you, if you are not willing to overcome that hurdle, don't start your business. You will never make it.
Okay, don't say that.
No, I'm going to say it. You will never make it. If you're not personable, if you cannot talk with people and you want to be a small business, you will never make it. Maybe a CEO who doesn't want to talk to people, who just needs to get stuff done, that in itself is a whole different ballpark than what we're doing. But if you are not willing to talk to people and you're not willing to get outside your comfort zone and work on your personal skills, you have a very slim chance of making it as a small business.
Kind of harsh, but he's right.
I can remember this was an argument that we had at one point. JC had this big thing set up to where we had spent so much time, so much money going to this one event that was for like local women-owned businesses. And we get there and there's people walking around and she freezes up. And she says, oh gosh, I don't think I can do this. I can't talk to people. In my head, I'm going, we just spent 3 days prepping this. We've spent money. We've had time. What do you mean you can't talk to people? Like for me, I can talk to a brick wall, so it's super easy. For JC, she has a lot of social anxiety. That's a hurdle she's had to get over and is still continuing to get over. Talking to people does not come as easy to her as it does to me. I will say that in that sense, talking with people has made my business skyrocket. Being personable, being able to meet with people and making those personal connections has put me above everyone else. And I'll tell you why. This goes back to the marketing strategy as well. If you just go in, you say, hey guys, I'm a local, fill in the blank. I'm looking to do some business. Is there any way that you guys could give me business? That means nothing to a business owner. However, if you can go in and you know subconsciously, you can make them feel good and say, listen, I see you guys being successful. I feel like I could make you guys even more successful doing X, Y, and Z. You're pointing out maybe some flaws in their business or some flaws in whatever they're doing. If you're doing pressure washing, photography, grade work, wedding planning. For JC, it's making sure that they feel like their day is the most important day ever, right? There's things that she does in the first couple of conversations to let them know that they are the most important thing that is happening in that moment. And that is huge. If you go into something and you make them feel like, you know, this is bad, I can help you out, you're failing, or, you know, oh, your house looks like absolute garbage, you know, whatever your industry is, if you go into it with really bad personal skills, it's not going to go good for you. I can tell you time and time again how many times I've been to an estimate. And in that estimate, I was not the cheapest, I was not the middle, I was the highest bid, sometimes over $1,000 more expensive than others. I have had multiple conversations where people have said, you know, Bryce, I chose you because you're personable. I chose you because you actually acted like you cared. You know, whenever I asked you about this, it wasn't a, yeah, I'm trying to make money off of you. It was a, yeah, this is gonna definitely make your house better. I agree with you. No, I wouldn't do that. If this was my house, I wouldn't do it that way. You know, tree jobs, I can tell you, I've sold tree jobs. I've been the highest bid, but they want to work with me because I made them feel good. I was personable. They could talk with me. They felt like they were talking to a neighbor or someone that they've known for years, and I just met them in the first 5 minutes. Being able to make that connection right off the bat is huge. Psychology is a big thing in sales. And if you're not personable, if you can't sell stuff, then your business is not going to make money.
So for me, building relationships and making connections looks a little bit different. I have to be on my A game at every single wedding and event that I attend, because while I'm there for the bride and groom or the person's birthday that it is, I'm also there for the bridal party. I'm there for the family. I'm there for the mom and dad. I'm there for all of your guests to make sure that whatever you're celebrating is executed seamlessly and that nothing goes wrong, and that if it does, you don't know it. In the wedding planning industry, I have booked probably 4 weddings where I did a wedding and then one of the bridesmaids, when they got engaged, they called me. And they said, just so you know, while we were at so-and-so's wedding, I was a bridesmaid in the bridal party, and we were watching you. Like, they watched every move I made to see if it was worth it to them to pay me to come and do their wedding. What is the difference between me and every other planner in the world? It's hard. It's hard to be a different hamburger shop, but I care so deeply about making people's days exactly the way they envision them. Our wedding day, I loved our wedding day. It was the most amazing day of my life, but some things went wrong. Our photographer sucked. Just all of these things that happened, some things got missed, which I had a wedding planner, but they didn't really care so much about my wedding. If it was their wedding, I bet they would have cared more. So for me, it's just making those relationships, building those relationships, being on your A game all the time. And the cool thing about being in the wedding and event industry is people are always going to have weddings and events. I cannot even tell you the amount of people that have called me for their engagement party. They've called me for their bridal shower. Then they call me for their wedding. And then after their wedding, they call me for their baby shower. And then they call me for their baby's first birthday, and their second birthday, and their third birthday, and their fourth birthday, and their fifth birthday. Like all of these things that just continue on. Probably not 5th birthday because I haven't been in business that long, but hopefully they'll call me for their 5th birthday. But all of these things that have just continued on, where I'm hoping one day they'll call me for their 25th wedding anniversary and I can look back and say, remember when I did your engagement party when you first got engaged? It's so crazy, but making those connections is what is going to get you further in the industry, and caring about people's visions, dreams, and wants and desires. That is what is going to set you apart from every other wedding planning business.
Making your client feel like they are the most important thing at the time you're doing their job is intricate and it's hard, but it is the most important aspect of building personal relationships in business. Like JC's business is way different than mine. For her, she's working with that client multiple times, having multiple meetings and then dealing a full day. For me, I talk with somebody, I get work from them, and I'm in a machine for the entire time. We maybe talk for a total of an hour on a week's long job, so it's different. Her personal relationship strategy is different than mine. But I will tell you, I've had jobs where I've underbid, and because I really worked with the people that let me bid the job, they've come back and said, yo, bump that thing up a little bit. Those are the kind of relationships that you want to have, and it's all because randomly I'll call them, not even talking about work. I can't tell you how many times. This is how different it is in my industry. Everyone calls because they want something. I call people because I want to know how they're doing. That sets me apart in my industry. I can't tell you how many people I've called and I just am talking about life and seeing how they're doing, checking up, and then after I get done talking, they're like, so what'd you call for? So I just call them to check up on you, see how you're doing, man. Probably 10 conversations where they are just like dumbfounded that I care about them just because I want to care about them as a person. That has put me ahead, and that's what is so important when owning a small business.
Like Bryce was saying, for him, he might only see these people once or twice in his whole entire time of working with them. But for me, okay, it's February 2025. I have a couple that just booked me for November of 2026. That's crazy. But I'm going to walk this whole journey with them of figuring out every little detail of their wedding with them to make sure that they're not stressed, that they're having fun, but everything is also going to be perfect on the day of. I often tell people that my clients are my besties because I'm spending so much time with them, and I'm talking to them, and I'm texting them, and I'm looking at their Pinterest board 4 times a day. Like, I want to know everything about their wedding because I want to be able to execute that on wedding day. Okay, next step.
Step number 5 in building your $1 million business.
Developing your business. In my opinion, this is the second hardest step in building your business. Why? Because it's the everyday things that you have to do where it feels like you're doing nothing, or it feels like you're way too busy, but you have to get the things done in order to be successful. There are parts of my job that I don't love. I don't love the bookkeeping. I don't love...
It'll forever be a struggle. Come tax time, it is a nightmare.
True. If you know a good CPA...
She doesn't even have that many write-offs. How we get to the end of the year and we're like, hey, where's your fuel receipts? Oh, I have no idea. Was I supposed to keep track of that?
Okay, don't roast me on live video. Anyways, there's not a lot of things that I don't like about the industry, but I don't like the bookkeeping. I don't like the numbers. I don't love being on social media all the time, but I have to be. This is a crucial part of building my business, because if you want someone that's going to be there for your wedding day or for your celebration, you want to see their work. I'm never going to book somebody that I've never seen them do work, or I've never seen how they are. I've never met them as a person. I've never met this photographer. I've never met this baker. I've not seen cakes that she's done. I'm never going to recommend someone like that. I'm never going to book someone like that because I don't know what you're capable of. So what am I going to do before I meet you or before I book you? I'm going to go on your social media. I'm going to look at all the things that you've done. I'm going to see all the connections that you have and see if you're legit or not. I have a wedding next week where the couple has hired the culinary program at the local high school to come and serve food at their wedding. The director of the culinary department calls me and he's like, hey JC, I was just wondering, like, do you do this for a living? Like, are my students going to be like, are you going to help them out, or are they just going to go into it blind? And I was like, yes, I do this as a living. Like, I'm a master certified wedding and event planner. I just got voted as #1 wedding and event planner in the Central Florida area for 2024. Like, I'm legit. I'm not saying that your great Aunt Sally can't do your wedding. I'm not saying that you can't have one of your family members cook for an event that you're having. I'm not saying that, because you can. But it's going to put the pressure on your family. Something is going to be missed, and it's just easier to pay someone like me to come and do it for you.
So in developing your business, a lot of times the business you start out as is not the business that you end up doing until retirement. Your business constantly develops. Most people that are in my industry start as a lawn care guy. They move from lawn care and they figure out they could, buy a tractor and bush hog, and then they figure out that tractor and bush hog really isn't good enough, so then they go get a skid steer. Then once they get a skid steer, they get an excavator, and it just kind of keeps going on and on. So your business is always developing into the next best thing. And for me, that's kind of how it was. In the beginning, I did a lot of landscaping, I did a lot of irrigation. I don't do a lot of landscaping, and I don't do a lot of irrigation anymore. I have morphed my business into going the direction that I want, which is eventually to become a site development company.
Same thing for me. When I started my business, I was doing a lot of balloon arches. I taught myself how to do those. I was letting people rent out some vases that I had. I was just doing whatever was going to make money, but also I was doing it to get my foot in the door. So I was developing my business even in the beginning, which now I don't do balloon arches. Sometimes I do. I don't do balloon arches often, but if it's a slow season and I'm like, hey, we need the extra cash, I'll do it.
As a business owner, some of the speed bumps or brick walls sometimes that I see people run into is their pride won't let them go backwards sometimes. And if you have a pride issue and you're a business owner, that can be a very good thing. It can also be a very bad thing. You can start to get into a lot of trouble if you're not honest with yourself and you're not honest with your crew, with your members, with your employees. It can be really bad, because in the beginning you may start out doing one specific thing. We just have friends around us that do these businesses, and I'm kind of coaching them in some of these things. So I'm just going to give an example. Photography. We have one of our friends wants to be a wedding photographer. However, right now, because she's at the start of her business, there's not enough money to be made with weddings at the time, because like you just heard, JC had a wedding book a year and a half, 2 years out. Weddings are a very far out thing. My business, you say yes to the quote, we're there within the next 2 weeks. It's way different. Hers is very much a long game, mine's a short game. I'm always looking for new jobs. She's always looking for new jobs, but they may not happen for a year. That's the hard thing about her industry. So for our friend who is in photography, I'm saying, hey, I know you want to be a wedding photographer, and that's important. You need to start gearing your business towards that. However, do not close yourself off to doing engagement shoots. Do not close yourself off to doing family shoots. Do not close yourself off to doing headshots for companies. Right now, in the beginning stages of your company, you're just trying to build your portfolio and get your name out, and that's important. And if you're not willing to take a step back and say, I'm willing to do what needs to be done in order to build my business, then you need to have a serious heart check and figure out where your heart is, and do you really even want to be in business?
That girl that he's talking about, our friend, she just texted me, asked me if I wanted to get a T-bomb. It's Jada. You guys have seen her on here before.
Alrighty guys, so you have just heard the 5 steps that we believe are the most crucial steps for you to build a successful business. We hope that this has helped, and we hope that you have learned something in this video. If you guys have learned something, feel free to drop it in the comments below. If you feel like there's a step more important than what we have said now, feel free to drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear your feedback.
We also want to know which step is hardest for you in your businesses, and let us know what kind of business you have in the comments. So that's all for this video. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Keep living the dream. See ya!
Peace.